One of the reasons why you want to stay away from those Teflon and other types of non-stick coated pans is because you're going to notice after a while of using it, you're going to see scratches on the surface of the pan. Those scratches is the metal scraping off the pan. That's going to get into the food, and when you consume it, that is going to leach into the bloodstream, and that could have a whole host of negative consequences.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in, and welcome back to another Sunday Q&A. Before we start, just a quick reminder that if you like what you see, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our videos. Also, if you have any questions, ask them down in the comment section, and we'll either respond to you directly in the comment section or answer your questions during another one of our weekly Sunday Q&As. Alright, time to answer your questions.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in and welcome back to another Sunday Q&A. Today's question is with regard to food preparation. A lot of you want to know what are the best ways to prepare your foods, so that's the topic I'm going to cover for this week's Q&A. Now, in terms of the different foods and how to prepare them, I'm going to break this video down into different categories. First, I'll be discussing meats, then poultry, fish, and eggs. When it comes to meats, the best ways that you can prepare it is going to be to grill, fry, or slow cook it. When it comes to grilling it, it's going to be the simplest thing that you can do. All you got to do is just put it on the barbecue, put whatever herbs and spices you want on your meat, and then cook it to whatever type of doneness you prefer. Me personally, I prefer a medium rare steak, and all I put on my meats is salt. So if I were to cook a steak on the grill, all I would do is put some salt, cook it until it's medium rare, and then that's it. For you, you can add whatever other herbs and spices you like. You don't have to just add salt. If you want to add some oregano, garlic, cumin, anything like that, go ahead, add whatever spices you like, anything that will make the meal more enjoyable. If it's more enjoyable for you, that means it's going to be more sustainable, which means you'll be able to follow it in the long run. Another way that you could prepare your meats is going to be to fry it. When it comes to frying your meats, the best type of cookware you could use for frying is going to be either a cast iron skillet, ceramic skillet, glass cookware, or stainless steel. You want to stay away from things like Teflon and all those other non-stick coated types of pans. One of the reasons why you want to stay away from those Teflon and other types of non-stick coated pans is because you're going to notice after a while of using it, you're going to see scratches on the surface of the pan. Those scratches is the metal scraping off the pan. That's going to get into the food, and when you consume it, that is going to leach into the bloodstream, and that could have a whole host of negative consequences. So that's why you want to stay away from Teflon and non-stick coated. You want to use either cast iron, ceramic, glass cookware, or stainless steel pans. That's going to be the best for cooking. When it comes to slow cooking, me personally, I like to use a crock pot. There are other things that you can also use the Instant Pot, and there are a bunch of other ways that you can slow cook your meats. But for me personally, those are the three ways that I prefer to cook my meats, either grilling it, frying it, or slow cooking it. When it comes to poultry, very similar. Some of the best ways that you can do it are going to be to grill, fry, slow cook it. Another thing you could do with poultry is bake it. One of the reasons why I like to bake poultry and not so much meat is just because I find that when I bake meat, it doesn't come out very good unless you're putting a lot of different vegetables, spices, herbs in there and making it into something like an osso buco. Aside from that, if you're just going to put a steak in the oven, it's not going to come out very good. Whereas with poultry, it comes out very good when you bake it. And as with the meat, grilling, frying, and slow cooking is also going to be a very, very great way to prepare your chicken. Now, when it comes to poultry, grilling, same thing as with meats. Just put whatever herbs and spices you want. Cook it however you like. If you prefer it a little bit more well done, then you could cook it a little bit longer. With chicken, you don't want to cook it rare, medium rare. You want to make sure that it is well cooked. But some people prefer it a little bit more on the dry side. If you do prefer more dry, you could leave it on there a little bit longer or even cook it over high heat. If you prefer more moist poultry, then what you could do is cook it over low heat for a longer period of time. That's going to keep in the flavor and it's going to make it a lot more juicy. So those are some of the ways that you could prepare the poultry. In terms of frying, same thing. You want to either use a cast iron, ceramic, glass, or a stainless steel cookware set. And for all of those, the best way that you can fry your meats is going to be to either use butter, lard, ghee, tallow, some type of animal fat. You want to stay away from any type of vegetable oils. So regular vegetable oil or canola oil, those are the worst oils that you can use for cooking. Also, if you do want to be very strict with carnivore, you want to be only using animal sources of fat when you are cooking. So that would be your butter, lard, tallow, ghee, all those types of cooking fats. Another thing that you can use for cooking over low heat is olive oil. If you're not following the carnivore very strictly and you're not 100% carnivore, then you can cook with some olive oil. Me personally, I prefer the taste of butter when I cook, and also butter is one of the healthiest things that you can cook with, so that's why I predominantly use butter when I do my cooking. Now, when it comes to fish, the best ways that you can prepare your fish are going to be to either grill, fry, or bake it. When it comes to grilling and frying your fish, same thing is going to apply as with your meats. There's only one difference. When it comes to grilling, if you're grilling your fish, you want to put some type of cover over the grates. Because if you put your fish directly on the grate without putting some type of cover, it's going to be a disaster. It's going to break apart, it's going to fall through the grates, and you're not going to have any fish left by the time you're done cooking. So what you can do is get some cedar wood planks, put those planks on the grill, and then again, salt it, season it however you like your fish, put it on the cedar plank, leave it for however long you like. If you prefer it a little bit more juicy, then you could cook it over low heat for a longer period of time. If you prefer it a little bit more dry, then you could cook it on high heat for a shorter period of time. Either way is fine. It really comes down to personal preference. And when it comes to frying, same thing. Either cast iron, ceramic, stainless steel, or glass cookware is going to be the best to cook it. And again, you want to use some type of animal fat that's going to be preferable. So either butter, lard, ghee, tallow, or if you're not 100% strict carnivore and you are going to use some other types of oils, you could also use things like olive oil, avocado oil, or coconut oil. Stay away from vegetable oils, no canola oil, none of that type of stuff. You want to stay away from that. When it comes to baking your fish and also baking poultry, since I forgot to mention this, you want to stay away from using things like aluminum foil paper. Parchment paper is going to be much more preferable, and one of the reasons is that many studies have shown that aluminum, when it leaches into the bloodstream, it can cause neurological effects such as Alzheimer's, dementia, a lot of neurological impairment. So that's why using any type of aluminum in your cooking would not be ideal. You'd want to ideally use parchment paper. If you are going to be baking your fish or baking your poultry, just lay down some parchment paper, add whatever herbs and spices you want to it, and cook it to your level of doneness that you prefer. And the last thing is going to be eggs. When it comes to eggs, the best way to prepare your eggs are going to be to fry, bake, or boil them. When it comes to frying them, the best thing you could do is sunny side up. And one of the reasons that sunny side up is going to be the best when it comes to frying it is because there's a lot of misconceptions with regard to cholesterol and eggs. A lot of people are still under the impression that if you consume cholesterol, your cholesterol is going to go up and that will lead to things like heart disease, but that isn't true. One of the reasons being is that cholesterol is self-regulated in the body. What that means is that if you consume a lot of cholesterol, your body's not going to produce a lot of cholesterol. If you don't consume cholesterol, your body's going to produce cholesterol. Your body needs cholesterol for every hormone in your body and for your body to function. So that's why cholesterol is very important. Where it gets tricky is when it comes to oxidized versus non-oxidized cholesterol. What happens when you cook eggs, you want to cook the white because there is the small risk of salmonella poisoning. However, the egg yolk, you don't really have to worry about that, so you want to leave the yolk runny. When you cook the yolk, you oxidize the cholesterol in the yolk, and that's the bad form of cholesterol. If you keep it non-oxidized by keeping the yolk runny, then you're going to be fine. So if you are going to fry your eggs, the best way to fry it in terms of the health benefits is going to be sunny side up. Now, if you don't prefer sunny side up eggs, if you prefer them scrambled, or if you prefer it as an omelet, you can do that. Again, it's going to come down to whatever you prefer. You want it to be enjoyable to you. And the other thing with cholesterol is even though when you scramble eggs or when you make an omelet, it does oxidize the cholesterol in the egg yolk. Another thing with regard to cholesterol, heart disease, all that type of stuff, is there's a large genetic component to it. So if you are genetically predisposed to high levels of cholesterol and things like heart disease, then yeah, you'd want to stay away from preparing it that way and stick to frying it sunny side up. That way it's going to be healthier for you. But again, if you don't have a family history of heart disease or issues with cholesterol that run in the family, then you don't really need to worry about it. Prepare it however you like. Same rules are going to apply, either cast iron, ceramic, glass, or stainless steel cookware. Stay away from non-stick Teflon coated types of pans. Another way that you could prepare your eggs is going to be to bake it. If you are going to bake your eggs, ideally what you would make is a frittata. A frittata is essentially an omelet that you put in the oven instead of cooking it on the stove. And the last thing that you could do when preparing your eggs is going to be to boil it. Boiling your eggs, there's really two things that you could do. You could either poach your eggs or you can do hard or soft boiled eggs. If you're going to do hard or soft boiled eggs, for hard boiled eggs, you're going to want to let the water come to a boil. After it comes to a boil, you're going to put the eggs in the water, leave it there for 11 minutes. If you prefer soft-boiled eggs are the same as hard-boiled. The only difference is the yolks are going to be runny, so you're not going to cook it as long as you would if you were doing a hard-boiled egg. For soft-boiled eggs, I find that 8 minutes 15 seconds is the ideal time once the water comes to a boil. So get your water to a boil, put your eggs in there, and leave it in there for 8 minutes 15 seconds. You can experiment with different times. Me personally, I found that that's the best time for soft-boiled eggs. Those are just a few of the ways that you can prepare your meats, poultry, fish, and eggs, and they are going to be much healthier if you prepare them in the ways that I just described. Again though, prepare them however you like. If you like to add just salt, then just add salt. If just adding salt to your meats is not preferable and you're not going to enjoy it, then add whatever other herbs and spices you like just to make it more enjoyable for you. Same rules apply with things like vegetables. If being 100% carnivore is not enjoyable for you and you don't want to do that type of a diet, then you can toss some vegetables in. I mean, it's not going to be 100% carnivore, but again, if adding vegetables to the diet allows you to adhere more to it, then go ahead and add them. There are no rules. Do what works for you. If 100% carnivore works for you, great, do that. If 100% carnivore doesn't work for you and you want to add a little bit of vegetables or add some herbs and spices, go ahead and do that. There are no rules, but that pretty much covers it for today's video. If you have any questions with regard to my experience with the carnivore diet, or any questions with regard to the carnivore diet, or any questions at all with regard to stretching, exercise, any of that type of stuff, lifestyle modifications to help improve performance or the way you feel, go ahead, ask your questions down in the comment section. I'll either answer your questions directly in the comment section or answer them during another one of our Sunday Q&As. That's it for today's video. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you again next week.
That's it for today's video. Thanks for tuning in. If you liked what you saw, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our videos. And if you have any questions, ask them down in the comment section, and we'll either respond to you directly in the comment section or answer your questions during another one of our weekly Sunday Q&As. Keep fit, have fun, and we'll see you again next week.